In the middle of our sleepy town was the Majestic, an old movie theater. Its neon sign, though flickering, still promised escape, and its old posters whispered stories of romance and adventure. We, a bunch of bored teenagers, were drawn to its faded charm, looking for a break from the usual. The Majestic, with its plush seats and fancy balconies, had a certain vibe. It was a relic from the past, a time capsule where old movie stars seemed to linger. Little did we know a different kind of spirit would show up that night. As we bought our tickets, the old man at the booth seemed unfazed by our late-night excitement. He handed us our tickets with a sigh, like he had seen this a million times before. His indifference didn't kill our buzz. The air inside was thick with the smell of popcorn and dust, a weird but cozy mix. We found our seats as the trailers started, their happy tunes a sharp contrast to the unease growing in my gut. The lights went down, and the usual studio logos popped up on the screen. Everyone got quiet as the movie started. But something was off. The movie kept glitching, and the sound was out of sync. At first it was just annoying, but then everyone started feeling uneasy. Then it got cold. Like, really cold. At first it felt like a draft, but soon you could see your breath in the air. Everyone else felt it too, and the whispers turned into nervous chatter. I tried to focus on the movie, to get lost in it, but the weird feeling wouldn't go away, and the strange stuff kept happening. The movie itself seemed to get creepier, like it was feeding off our fear. A girl a few rows ahead turned to her friend, looking pale. "I don't like this," she whispered, her voice shaking. "Let's go." Her friend nodded, just as freaked out. They grabbed their stuff and bolted out of the theater. As the movie kept rolling, I had to get up. Couldn't sit still. The hallway to the restrooms was dark and chilly. I pushed open the restroom door and went in. The lights flickered, making creepy shadows. In the mirror, I saw someone behind me. I spun around, but no one was there. Shaking it off, I rushed out, needing to be around people. Back in the theater, things were getting real tense. Those weird noises barely there before were now loud and clear. A soft scratching sound like claws on concrete coming from the walls. People were whispering, their faces showing a mix of fear and confusion. The usher, a lanky teen with a weirdly calm look, stood near the screen staring off into space. Even he, who'd probably seen tons of late-night shows, seemed freaked out by what was happening. The movie kept playing, but no one was paying attention anymore. The soundtrack, once fun, now felt creepy, each note echoing the scratching sounds in the theater. A woman near the aisle started crying softly, her husband trying to calm her down. Her sobs, though quiet, added to the panic spreading through the theater. The once normal theater had turned into a claustrophobic nightmare. Suddenly the movie flickered and stopped. The screen went black, throwing the theater into darkness. Everyone gasped, then it was dead silent. Then, all hell broke loose. Screams came from everywhere as people stumbled out of their seats, blinded by the dark. The scratching noises got louder, coming from all sides. Fear filled the air, the darkness making it worse. I heard bodies bumping, people crying out, trying to find the exit. The smell of sweat and fear was everywhere, making it hard to breathe. I grabbed my friend's hands in the dark, our fear connecting us. We pushed towards the aisle, slowed down by the panicked crowd heading for the exits. Heart racing, we shoved through the crowd, just wanting to get out of that creepy theater. The scratching noises kept going, now with a deep growl that made the whole place shake. The exit doors were ahead, our only hope in the dark. We pushed forward, driven by the scared crowd. Stumbling out, we felt the cool night air, the darkness less scary outside. Police cars, sirens blaring, sped to the theater, their lights flashing red and blue. We watched from afar, breathing hard as cops rushed in looking serious. News spread fast, the haunted screening was all anyone talked about. The Majestic, once loved, was now avoided, its doors shut, its future unknown. The cops found nothing weird. No break-ins, no reason for the creepy stuff. The theater stayed shut, its quiet making the town feel even more uneasy. We tried to forget, blame it on bad wiring or everyone freaking out, but deep down, we knew something bad went down in the Majestic. The Majestic, once a dream spot, now a creepy reminder of hidden darkness, a spooky sign of the unknown just out of reach. And what really happened that night? Still a mystery. A creepy story told in whispers, a reminder that some things are better left alone.
It was a Friday night and the cinema was buzzing. People were chatting about their fave films and the smell of popcorn was everywhere. Everyone was hyped for the new comedy blockbuster. The posters promised a night full of laughs. My friends and I finally got tickets after weeks of planning. We were so ready for this night. The vibe was electric as we walked into the theater. Seats were filling up fast with excited moviegoers. We grabbed our seats, popcorn in hand, ready for a night of laughs. The energy was off the charts. The lights dimmed and the opening credits started. The room went silent, everyone glued to the screen. The jokes were on point and the audience was cracking up. It was a shared moment of pure joy. For a while, everything was perfect. We forgot our worries and just enjoyed the movie. It felt awesome to just laugh and have fun. We laughed so hard our sides hurt. But then things took a dark turn. The laughter stopped, replaced by gasps of shock and fear. The movie was funnier than we expected. We had gone in with no real expectations, just looking for a way to pass the evening. But as the film progressed, it became clear that we were in for a treat. Every other scene had us in stitches. The jokes were perfectly timed, and the actors' expressions were priceless. It was one of those rare moments where everything just clicked. I remember looking over at my friend Priya, her face flushed with laughter. She had tears in her eyes from laughing so hard, and I couldn't help but join in. It was contagious. Even the strangers around us felt like company in that moment of shared amusement. It was as if the entire theater was connected by this invisible thread of joy and laughter. Then, during a particularly funny scene, a loud crash echoed from the back of the hall. It was so unexpected that it jolted everyone out of their laughter. It was so sudden, so out of place, that the laughter died down instantly. The room went from uproarious laughter to a tense silence in a matter of seconds. People turned their heads, trying to figure out what had happened. The atmosphere shifted dramatically, and you could feel the collective curiosity and concern. Some whispered to their companions, while others craned their necks to get a better look. The sense of unity we had felt moments before was replaced by a shared sense of unease and curiosity. At first we thought it was part of the movie, maybe a special effect we hadn't anticipated, but the confused murmurs around us suggested otherwise. The noise had definitely come from within the cinema hall. Suddenly a man came rushing down the aisle, his face pale and panicked. He spoke in hushed, urgent tones to the people seated in the front row. They seemed just as confused as we were, but there was a sense of urgency in their hushed whispers. "Something's wrong," Priya whispered, her eyes wide with concern. I tried to sound calm, but I couldn't shake off the feeling of unease that had settled over me. What had caused that crash? And why was that man so panicked? The whispers around us grew louder, carrying snippets of information. There had been some sort of disturbance outside. Someone mentioned a fight. Another rumor suggested it was a group of teenagers causing trouble. With each passing moment, the air grew thicker with apprehension. The movie continued to play on the screen, but no one was laughing anymore. The sound of the film felt distant, like a faint echo from a world that no longer existed. Our attention was now fully focused on the heavy door at the back of the hall. A lone figure, the theater staff we'd seen earlier, stood guard at the exit. He was talking on his phone, his voice low and urgent. Every now and then we could hear snippets of his conversation. "Yes, sir. Situation. Police. Soon as possible." Panic started to set in. People were restless, their eyes darting around the room, searching for answers that weren't there. What if the danger was inside the hall with us? What if those teenagers, or whoever it was, decided to come in? We were trapped, with no clear understanding of what was happening outside. The air was thick with fear, and the silence was broken only by nervous whispers and the sound of our own racing hearts. It was a decision made in the heat of the moment. We had to get out of there. Someone yelled, "Emergency exit!" The words echoed through the theater, cutting through the confusion and panic like a knife. In that moment, everything changed. The movie we were watching was forgotten, replaced by a sudden, overwhelming need to escape. Everyone to the emergency exit. The command was clear, and it was as if a collective instinct took over. People surged towards the exits, driven by a primal urge to survive. It was like a switch had been flipped. One moment we were engrossed in the film, and the next we were part of a frantic, chaotic exodus. People scrambled out of their seats, pushing and shoving in a desperate bid to escape. The air was thick with fear and the sound of panicked voices. Adrenaline surged through me as we joined the throng, our hearts pounding in our chests. The fear was palpable, a living, breathing entity that propelled us forward. Our fear propelling us forward, we moved as one, a mass of humanity driven by a single unifying goal: to get out, to find safety. The emergency exit led us out into a narrow alleyway behind the cinema hall. The sudden change from the confined space of the theater to the open air was jarring. We spilled out into the night, gasping for air, our lungs burning from the exertion. The cool night air was a stark contrast to the stifling atmosphere inside. Our hearts pounding in our chests, we stood there trying to catch our breath, the reality of what had just happened slowly sinking in. The police arrived soon after, their sirens wailing, breaking the tense silence of the night. The flashing lights cast eerie shadows on the walls, adding to the surreal atmosphere. Breaking the tense silence of the night, the sirens were both a relief and a reminder of the chaos we had just escaped. We learned later that it had been a group of youths causing a disturbance outside. What had started as a prank had escalated into a full-blown panic. Thankfully, no one was seriously hurt. The relief was palpable, but so was the lingering fear. But the experience left an indelible mark on us. It was a stark reminder of how quickly things can change, how fragile our sense of safety really is. It was a stark reminder that even in the most ordinary of places, danger can lurk around the corner, shattering the illusion of safety in an instant. Danger can lurk around the corner, shattering the illusion of safety in an instant. The world, we realized that night, could turn from comedy to terror in the blink of an eye. The world, we realized that night, could turn from comedy to terror in the blink of an eye. It was a lesson we would not soon forget, a night that would stay with us forever.